Hey, happy October. It's really starting to feel like fall. This is the season where we find out who the real lovers are, who's really about it. My virgin shirt today. I'm a lover. And I don't know, something about October. A lot of you try and be lovers, but you're getting spooked. Yeah, no, it's very much fall. We're into the thick of it. I can tell because leaves, sweaters, tea, books. Of course, that's why we're all here, isn't it? Yeah, I had a good reading month. I read 5 books. So let's, I guess, get right into it. First book I read this month, courtesy of the Fraser Valley Regional Library, is Birdgirl by Maya Rose Craig. Where to begin? I guess I should include this. My laptop is at 5% and I don't have my charger. So I do not have a script to read off. I have done very little preparation for this, so take it with a grain of salt. These are my thoughts off the top. And I finished this book a full month ago. Birdgirl by Maya Rose Craig. I went into it very, very excited and hopeful, as bird watching has been something I've kind of wanted to dabble in for a bit. Now, Maya Rose Craig is a serious bird watcher, a serious twitcher, if you will. And no, she doesn't stream. I went into this looking more around her kind of promises around the future of sustainability and environmental activism and what that meant to her as a 17-year-old, I believe, when she wrote the book, which is astounding in and of itself. And then I was kind of hit right in the chest with how much just bird stuff was in it. It was ridiculous. I'll give you 3 names of birds and you have to tell me which one I just made up, okay? The Andean cock of the rock, the dick sissel, and great tit. I'll give you a little bit of time to formulate your guess. Once again, Andean cock of the rock, dick sissel, and great tit. You have your guess? They're all real. Are you kidding me? Who is naming these? That's ridiculous. So there was a lot more bird than I expected, which I was initially disappointed by, but then I just really enjoyed reading about it. But then there was a change of pace as we were going through Maya Rose Craig's life, and we got more into her advocacy, and that's when I realized I don't really agree with a lot of it. It's a lot of it is just straight up neocolonialism and rebranding travel to be this sustainable, the sustainable industry for locals to work. Hey, instead of selling your land, your traditional land, to those oil and gas companies, why don't you sell it to these humane resorts and bird watching tour wellness retreat places? Hey, those are both bad. And why don't we think of an alternative where they don't have to sell their land at all? What about that? So it was very, very neoliberal, which I do not jive with. So I was actually quite disappointed. I wish it was just a bird about books. A book? Oh, a what? I wish it was just a book about birds. Boing! I think I gave it 3 stars. Again, I don't have a script, so I'm rattling off the ratings off the top of my head. I think I gave it 3 stars. Next up, we have Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This one I read in maybe 2 days. I flew through it, and for good reason. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to read. It was funny. It was a little bit dark in places, especially with the content. The idea of the story is this up-and-coming prominent Asian fiction writer dies, and her white friend, who was with her when she died, stole a manuscript and had it published under a pseudonym that kind of made her sound more Asian than she is. Then that novel that she edited from her dead friend's manuscript goes on to be a bestseller, and there's kind of the repercussions, and we get a look into like the publishing industry, some interesting cultural discussions as well, since it's told, our narrator is the white author.
Bruh.
It's interesting in that way that we have a very unreliable, quite unlikable narrator, and through that narrator all of the characters become unlikable. And I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. So yeah, shout out Yellowface. Great book, read it if you can. Next I read Boy Parts by Eliza Clark, and again, these 3 books thus far that I've been talking about, all from the library, so shout out to them. Again, always, forever, library stan. But Boy Parts was a really... I read it. I read the book, and I read part of it on public transit, and I almost threw up on a high schooler beside me. Because, wow, what I was reading was gross. There's a lot of really vivid, dark imagery used in this, which evoked, at least for me, a lot of feeling. So be gentle with yourself if you read this. Pardon me, I'm back, whatever. It was also relevant because around this time I was having some discussions with people around, you know, the line of consent, informed consent in regards to like visual art. In the book's context, it's very much photography, but also in like documentary filmmaking, where how involved does your subject have to be for that final product to really be true to them, to what you're portraying? Does that truth matter? I think it does. Those sorts of questions. So it was interesting to read in conjunction with those discussions. Eliza Clark is a great writer. That much is clear, honey. And I think it gets really deep into some really great conversations about producing art and the psyche. That's such a... I actually hate that word. But I'm gonna use it. Of an artist. So yeah, I gave it, what, maybe 4 stars? It was good. It was a really good book. Next up, 4th book of the month, Inseparable by Simone de Beauvoir. A fictional retelling of her childhood and her relationship with Elizabeth Laquan.
Oh, hell no!
Wow, my French. Don't come for me in the comments. Zaza. We're calling her Zaza because that's her nickname. And also because I could use some. Am I right? Call me Simone de Beauvoir the way I need that Zaza. This is a really short and quick read, diving into female friendship and girlhood that I really, really liked. Let me have some orange juice. Shout out OJ. Not The Simpson. But yeah, some really pretty writing. Rest in peace, Zaza. Really sad story as well. I think I gave it 4.25 stars. My memory is gone. My last book, the only one I have a physical copy of, is my favorite from the list also. Zami, A New Spelling of My Name by Audre Lorde. Also, yikes. She needs some glue, or some tape ASAP. I bought this at Vancouver Pride. It was a, what's it called? Like overstock from Out on the Shelves Library, which is located by UBC, I think. But this book, goodness gracious, Audre Lorde. It's coined as like a biomythography, which is incorporating elements of history, biography, and myth in the storytelling, recounting of her life, and it's just brilliant. Just brilliant. Her writing is gorgeous and so just hits the exact point. Whatever you're needing out of a book, this will give you. It details a lot of her relationships with women, her mother, her sisters, her lovers, and her friends, and the community that she goes on to build, both in New York and previous to that in Mexico. I can't say enough wonderful things about Zami. We get into some kind of cultural history and discussion as well, which is so relevant, I think. I finished this book maybe a week or two ago, and I haven't stopped thinking about it, truthfully. And I don't know if I ever will. It definitely, text from the school group chat. I have an essay due tomorrow, and I need to edit it, but I'm doing this. It made me cry 4 pages in. Let me read it. Got it. Delois lived up the block on 142nd Street and never had her hair done, and all the neighborhood women sucked their teeth as she walked by. Her crispy hair twinkled in the summer sun as her big proud stomach moved her on down the block while I watched, not caring whether or not she was a poem. Even though I tied my shoes and tried to peep under her blouse as she passed by. I never spoke to Delois, because my mother didn't. But I loved her, because she moved like she felt she was somebody special, like she was somebody I'd like to know someday. She moved like how I thought God's mother must have moved, and my mother, once upon a time, and someday maybe me. That's about half of the paragraph. Wow, just the love exuding from this book is incomparable. 5 stars. Easy peasy lemon squeezy 5 stars. That's everything I read in the month of September. I currently have 2 books checked out from the library, 1 book I need to return, and a whole heck of a lot on my shelves. Oh, actually, let me show you some. Let me show you my 3 most favorite and the books I'm most excited for recent acquisitions. First up, Parable of the Sower, Octavia Butler. It's a must-read, and I got my hands on it, my filthy little mitts, because I found it at Value Village. So very excited to read this. Next up, we have Requiem for a Dream, which I didn't know was a book until I found it, by Hubert Selby Jr., which is the most, old guy name ever. $3. Beautiful cover. Oh my word, the Penguin Modern Classics print edition. Lord have mercy on my soul. And lastly, Foe by Ian Reid, which Paul Mescal and Saoirse Ronan, 2 of my favorite actors, are starring in the film adaptation of later this year or early next year. I don't know. Soon. The trailer's out and it looks amazing. And so to find out this is a book and now I have it, heck yeah. Heck yeah. I also want to do an inventory of all the books I have at some point. Maybe I'll make a video out of that. Anyways, thanks for watching. This video has probably been long enough. Bye now. Bye now. I'm bye now?